Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Patreon-sponsored review time again, and it's covering a tie-in to a series I've never watched. Now, you might think that this makes me less qualified to really review a tie-in to that series, and you'd be correct. So anyway, Star versus the Forces of Evil. This is the story of Star Butterfly, a magical princess from another dimension called Muni. On her 14th birthday, she's apparently given a magic wand and accidentally uses it to set fire to the castle. Thinking that she needs to train in magic away from home, her parents send her to Earth as a foreign exchange student. Oh, good, thanks. This planet didn't have enough things that were on fire. And thus she and her friend Marco end up going on magical adventures to other dimensions, and apparently there's a lot of silliness, and the show may or may not end in genocide committed by our heroine. At least that's what I hear based on commenters. Still, this is what happens when I have to review something where I'm not familiar with the source material. I rely on you guys for info, so if it's not accurate, you only have yourselves to blame. Deep Trouble was the first comic tie-in to the show, and was apparently intended to be an 8-issue miniseries, and was cancelled halfway through its run due to low sales, hence we're reviewing an incomplete book here. I'll try to keep that in mind as I review it. You can't really hold it against the writers for not completing a plot point or something if the book is unexpectedly ended on you. So let's dig into Star versus the Forces of Evil, Deep Trouble, number 1 to 4, and see what we did get for the first half of the book.
Where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a party hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara. Robots, Amazons, and trucks. Linkara. This comic sucks. Linkara.
Reading from a trade, plus 4 issues, so no looking at the covers. We open with Star talking to her mother via magic mirror. Yes, Mom, Marco is fine, yes, the Diazes are fine, and yes, Earth is still fine. I mean, I heard something about a Vogon construction fleet arriving today, but I don't think that's anything to worry about. Did they enjoy the gift your father and I sent? They were flattered, but people here don't really use magical armor or Vorpal swords like we do on Muni. Flamethrowers tend to be the weapon of choice. The aforementioned Marco arrives, asking if she's seen his lucky hoodie, so Star ends the call. Marco suspects that she took it, and she does not deny it, though we see that finding it will prove difficult given the state of her room. I don't know, guys, Homestuck 2 just doesn't seem to have the same spark as the original. Having a magic wand and all, Star elects to have the room cleaned by a group of kittens that she summons in little maid costumes. It is adorable, and I approve. Marco decides to help them out, asking her if they can recycle a message in a bottle. Star recognizes it as a message from the Water Folk, and apparently there are quite a few of them sitting there. Geez, Aquaman can't handle something on his own for like 5 minutes. Upon reading the note, Star says they immediately need to head to the Waterfolk domain, since Ponyhead is in trouble. Once there, underwater and in a bubble of air, they discover that Ponyhead has been very busy painting graffiti everywhere, with such sayings as, "Fish stank, ponies dank." I see Ponyhead has decided that the answer to that old short I riffed is that graffiti is both fun and dumb. However, the graffiti is not the thing that's gotten Ponyhead in the local jail, which is called the Waterfolk Cannery. Are they gonna turn her into food? She's been accused of stealing the Waterfolk's pearled tiara, a sacred relic for them that dates back to the first ruler of their kingdom. And so they arrive at Ponyhead's cell, and indeed, she is literally a floating head of a unicorn pony. Man, the next My Little Pony generation is weird. Star asks her what's up. I don't know, girl. 1 minute I'm getting my pony party on, and then the next I'm here. I mean, sure, I drank like 3 kegs, but where does the alcohol even go? The trial is tomorrow, and she'll be locked away forever if found guilty. Star believes her, though Marco does not. Walking out, they're met by Johnny Blowhole, who I guess Star knows as somebody most associated with party dares, but is now a court-appointed lawyer for Ponyhead. Star's a little hesitant to accept him as a lawyer, since he's more known as a party animal, but he has a whole bunch of impressive degrees, like a certificate of participation, humanities, first prize in a chili cook-off. Most impressive of all, though, is his silver YouTube play button. I kid, of course. Who'd be dumb enough to have one of those? Why am I sad all of a sudden? And thus the trial begins. Your Honor, my client pleads guilty. What? Yeah, sorry, Ponyhead. You probably would have been better off with Professor Bobo as your lawyer.
Now, folks, we're going to hear the word panties used a lot in this trial, so let's get them giggles out right now. Panties, panties.
I love that the jury is a can of sardines. It's actually hilarious to me. More confusing, though, is that we see other floating pony heads in the audience. So, like, given that fact, does that mean her name is the equivalent of naming your child a human being? Anyway, they learn that this is actually Johnny Blowhole's first ever case, and that it's likely the degrees and newspaper clippings were fake. Wait, does that mean he didn't win first prize at the chili cook-off? I don't know what's real anymore. Ponyhead tries to get new legal representation, but the judge denies it. The prosecutor, a shark, unveils their evidence. The stolen crown, which was found in one of Flying Princess Ponyhead's purses. However, while Ponyhead doesn't deny that it could be one of her purses, it's a very old one that she wouldn't use anymore. And why would I steal your gross old crown? I'm like super rich.
There is logic in what he says.
Unfortunately, the crowd is quite proud of the crown, so that statement isn't helping. The shark continues with a photograph of Ponyhead when she was arrested, drunk off her, I was gonna say ass, but, well, neck hole, I guess? Anyway, with such a compelling case, Johnny Blowhole asks if he can switch sides. Given his track record so far, that might actually be helpful. Ponyhead is pissed and attacks him, forcing her to be restrained. You'd think that being super rich, she could actually afford a decent lawyer, but what you gonna do? Anyway, since her lawyer is no longer representing her, the judge asks if anyone else is willing to speak on her behalf. Star volunteers, calling a character witness to the stand via her magic wand. Herself! Mind you, I think her clone might be a bit defective. One of her pupils is bigger than the other. And as we established 2 weeks ago, clones are basically just made with a cookie cutter. After Star has some back and forth with the shark lawyer, the clone puts forth a counter-argument to the evidence presented. Firstly, that indeed Ponyhead never uses the same accessory twice, so she wouldn't use that same purse. What's more, the graffiti she made is all wrong. She usually writes an S backwards, yet the graffiti saying fish nerds equals fish turds is written normally. To be fair though, she was incredibly drunk. It's entirely possible she's not acting like herself during that. The judge feels there's enough doubt to reopen the investigation, and that Star has to be the one to conduct it. And if she fails to find conclusive proof of Ponyhead's innocence, then she and Marco will also be going to jail for wasting the court's time. Underwater justice is extremely complicated and kind of petty. I, Star Butterfly, vow to prove Ponyhead's innocence! Now everyone look at the bright shiny thing while I try to flee from this situation! And so we end issue 1 with Ponyhead later admitting to Star that she doesn't remember anything. That time is a blur to her, but that inspires Star on how to begin her investigation. Marco is still convinced that Ponyhead did it, but Star decides to catch the culprit in the act, using her dimensional scissors to meet up with Father Time, who I guess they've met before. Father Time rides around on a giant gear that is pulled by what appears to be hamsters with watches around their necks. I have no commentary for that. If you can pull that kind of look off, go for it. Star Butterfly and Red Hoodie Kid, it's been ages! Or has it been an infinitesimally small fraction of time in the eyes of an immortal doomed to roam the wasteland alone and unfulfilled? What do you mean alone? You got the hamsters! Star offers, over Marco's objection, to drive his Wheel of Progress for him while he takes a break. Star, I have very absent parents and was mostly raised by TV, and if those schlocky TV shows taught me anything, it's that this kind of stuff never ends well. We're gonna end up creating a rip in time or some paradox. Oh, what's the worst that could happen? Our series gets canceled before we find out the ending? Your parents are great and those shows are fake. Besides, this is the real world. Now grab the rein to these giant time hamsters so I can cut a dimensional hole in space and time with my magical scissors. I mean, if these had been giant time gerbils, this whole thing would have been ridiculous. And so as they use the thing to travel to the past, Father Time collapses onto the ground. So this is boredom. Amazing.
I did nothing. I did absolutely nothing, and it was everything that I thought it could be.
The time tunnel is, of course, filled with clocks. Weird how these things never have digital clocks in them. Anyway, they arrive in the past, but they've gone too far back, and arrived at the wrong location anyway. So instead are in the era when Star's parents were preteens and fighting a giant slime monster that honestly kind of resembles the Thing from the Starstream #1 adaptation of the story. Oh hey, so Thing Tucker had a career after that comic. Star's father tries to fight the Thing, but he just gets eaten and the more handsome knight has to save him. He runs off, sad that he looks like an idiot in front of the princess, Moon Butterfly. Star accidentally shouts out words of encouragement to him. Who said that? A ghost? No, just a wise old tree? I know all about dating and girls and stuff. I'm the, romance advice tree. Thanos didn't listen to me and look how he ended up. I'm, pretty certain it'll work out if you just try harder. Just keep at it, Dad. I mean, young Mr. River. Hey, hygiene advice tree here. You should, shower more. And I'm taxes preparation tree. Did you know you can write off your own healthcare payments? After he heads off, Star says she wants to stick around to make sure things go well between her parents, figuring that with time travel, they can go back to helping Ponyhead at any point. And so a montage follows of the dude trying and failing to impress her. Instead, Hunky Von Perfect Hair just showing off how cool and awesome he is. Suspicious, Star and Marco follow him until they discover he's actually some kind of mud monster trying to get the princess alone so he can kill her. Well, props to the Mud Dwellers costuming department. That's a great mask for a people that are apparently viscous. Our fake knight goes to the princess on the pretense of wanting to escalate their relationship, although she's not interested, but our heroes show up in knightly garb to stop the murder. Unfortunately, in the confusion, the princess thinks they're just attacking him for making the moves on her. He's harmless. He's confusing attention for affection. You know, like jackasses who hit on cashiers because they're required to be nice to customers. They pass by Star's dad, and he chases after them when the princess asks for help. Once Star and Marco are incapacitated by the masked mud dweller, he tries to murder Princess Moon, but River knocks him out with one punch and unmasks him. He's been tricking us this entire time? Called it! No, you didn't. Well, I didn't tell you this, but I did tell one of the advice trees, so it counts. Our heroes retreat back to their carriage and return to Father Time. No attempt is made to actually try to do what they set out to do in the first place, nor is there any attempt to bring up the predestination paradox of their presence. And Marco says that they just need to admit that Ponyhead is guilty and hope the court will be lenient to them with an apology. Instead, Star ends the issue by contacting a tiny man in her spellbook, Glossaric. He's apparently her teacher and mentor, and she asks for help with Ponyhead's case. Maybe I have an answer, maybe I don't. Maybe the pool is shallow. Don't jump in. The toast has been buttered. Grab your coffee. Don't forget cream. Don't be late. Bring a friend. Star Butterfly is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Sad when a mentor has a stroke. He does, however, know a spell that could help. It requires them chanting the spell, but Marco, uncomfortable and not wanting to be there, interrupts it, and Glossaric shoots eye beams into their eyes, transporting them into some kind of sitcom setting where the characters are all Glossaric and Star is a cousin. Glossaric? No, silly. I'm Momsaric. Glossaric is my husband. So, when you were born, were you daughter Saric or baby Saric? Or did your parents just have really high expectations foisted upon you? She asks to talk to Glossaric, but he's working away in his dad cave, and she makes it clear that she'll devour their souls if he's disturbed. They're interrupted by the arrival of Nosy Nasaric, who is suspicious of Star being a cousin since she looks nothing like Momsaric. The big twist is that Momsaric has actually been having an affair with Nosy Nasaric's dad. And then Teen Girl Saric comes in, sad that she doesn't have a date to the Spring Fling dance, and starts crushing on Marco, also indicating that if he doesn't go to the Spring Fling with her, more soul-eating shall commence. After some more shenanigans like that, Star and Marco have finally had enough and forced their way through the door, as the rest of the Glossaric clones have fused into some kind of multi-headed monstrosity. Thing Tucker's doing bit parts while the actual monster from the film is getting big roles like this. Through the doorway, they actually end up on the backstage of the sitcom. which I do think is a bit clever. Wait, this is some crooked sitcom? Still better than Heil Honey, I'm Home. Star uses her wand to blast the monstrosity, but it just reforms. She and Marco find Glossaryck's dressing room and go inside. He's still play acting, though when the Gestalt creature comes in, he tells it to go back to set for rehearsal and it complies. He finally just tells Star and Marco to check Ponyhead's phone, ending issue 3. Returning to the cannery, they ask Ponyhead for her compact. Is it also her phone? To look for clues, but she says she lost it in the dimension of cats with human faces. Nope! No, done! Review over! Bye, everybody! Play the ending theme! We're out! Nope! I have been informed that it is not anything jellical, so we're safe. Marco is against going there. Is his last name Killjoy? But this time for more practical reasons. He's allergic to cats. However, when they return to Star's room, they discover two of their friends, Alfonso and Ferguson, rifling through Star's stuff. They admit that they're incredibly bored and do this whenever the two go on adventures and play with her cool magic items. Oh, well, in that case, go to hell, you sacks of garbage who invade a teenage girl's privacy and use her stuff without permission. They do apologize and admit that they walk the laser puppies. It's actually a good thing they did that. If you don't walk laser puppies, well...
Laser dogs!
With the need to travel to a dimension full of cats, Marco and Star go in disguise as a giant cat costume. I thought I couldn't hate this more, and yet... Marco, butts don't talk. See, you say that, and yet I watch the news these days. The two have a hard time coordinating with each other, so Alfonso and Ferguson come along in their own patched-together outfit that kinda looks like Cat Dog. Wow, I haven't thought of Cat Dog in forever. God, I'm old. Anyway, they make their way to the main city, which is basically a massive cat tree in a litter box, and just try to blend in. Poorly, especially since Alfonso and Ferguson are doing everything in their power to act like annoying tourists. They head straight for the palace to meet with the ruler. I am Cashew, ruler of Perkistan. These are my royal viziers, Almond and Pecan. Star explains how they're looking for the compact, but they don't know what that is. Showing her own, they're mystified, since they call it the God Egg. They're led to a chamber with dozens of cats worshipping it, since it's playing a video of a bird and, well, cats and all. Star swipes it, but of course the cats want it back, attacking. However, Marco's allergies get the better of him, and he sneezes so hard it rips their costume in half, to the utter horror of the assembled kitties. They run away in fear as Alfonso and Ferguson try to calm them down. But apparently they brought the laser puppies with them, which burst out of their own costumes. This is a very traumatic day for these poor cats. In the chaos, Star loses the compact, but uses one of the laser puppies, and its laser pointer eyes, to distract the cats and allow them to retrieve the compact. They escape right back to the cannery, where Ponyhead reveals that she actually got a new compact, one that downloaded all her old photos from the old one anyway, so this entire trip was pointless. She apologizes for not considering Star in all this and all the trouble she went through, and so our issue, and this entire comic, ends with them looking at a selfie of Ponyhead getting some goblin dogs, which I guess is a plot point that went nowhere, because the series was canceled. These comics are okay, amusing enough in their own way, and probably would be even funnier if I had watched the show, but I understand completely why it had low sales. Like I said, it's funny, but for an 8-issue miniseries, issues 2 to 4 are basically just wasting time. Issue 2 in particular doesn't advance the plot at all. It's just a chance for some backstory building for Star's family. You could cut it entirely without missing anything. Issues 3 and 4 only advance the actual plot a teensy bit, and I have a sneaking suspicion that the same would be the case for issues 5 to 7, with issue 8 being the only one that would actually conclude things properly. And don't get me wrong, it's not bad. If this miniseries had actually been completed, I'd probably complain less about that because it's just a series of fun, entertaining adventures. But as it is, if someone was buying this from month to month, it'd probably be kind of frustrating that something that was supposed to be a limited series took so much time spinning its wheels instead of advancing it. As an ongoing series, probably more than acceptable, but since it's supposed to be multiple parts in a miniseries, it just kind of falls flat as something interconnected. Still, if you're a fan of the show, you'd probably get a lot more out out of it than me. Next time, we continue our Patreon-sponsored fun with a movie this time. The DreamWorks film Megamind. So she's keeping her new compact in her neck? We can see that there's no exit hole for her on her bottom. Does she just eat and drink and it just sits in her neck until it rots?
Hello, my friends. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell, and share it with others. And if you get a chance, maybe check out my Patreon.